Hey, my name is Raymond Abu, aka Spex. I'm originally from Brooklyn, NYC. I'm part of the dance collective known as Full Circle, and I've been repping hip hop for 27 years. I was incrementally trying to learn party dances and hip hop in my teens. And then by the time I graduated high school, I started to come out of my shell, so to speak. And I made a conscious decision to just learn how to do the dances that were popular at the time because the music was just so great and popular. The first club I went to for hip hop, a friend of mine, I call my cousin, his name is Joe, he took me to Studio 54 on Hip Hop Now on Wednesday night. And I went there. It seemed like it was a mosh pit of just dudes with high top fades and with girls just dancing, just running amok on the dance floor with doing the latest steps and latest moves. And it was a very, very live and vibrant experience. The first person that kind of helped me along my journey in the very beginning was my friend by the name of Derek Parker, who used to live on my block in Flatbush Avenue, Brooklyn, on 21st Street, East 21st Street. He is, I think, the first person who showed me how to do the backslide / the moonwalk. And he kind of looked like Kid from Kid and Play, so I had a shorter flat top, so I was the play, I guess, in that little scenario. And we were the kids in our collective crew in our building that were actively dancing like that. And I used to watch people in my high school dance, but I was a little more introverted at that time, so I wasn't really actively showcasing what I could do or showed an interest beyond, what I was already doing. And then I started going out to the clubs, and then I started seeing the very people that I was looking at in the music videos for hip hop in the clubs with me. Elite Force, members of Elite Force, Buddha Stretch, Henry Link, and then I met Loose Joint later. And then I started seeing the whole collective of people, and those have been my influences in my journey in hip hop. The continuation of that making something out of nothing, which I think is the spirit of hip hop, kept me in this for so long and having so many influences, even though I was counted out, wasn't really well received in the very early stages of my development in this dance culture. And the music and seeing so many people dancing inspired me to continue to go, and seeing what could become of somebody who didn't fancy himself a dancer. Who would have thought some guy with a pencil could draw his tail off is a dancer now, 27 years in. In order to, be in it as long as I have or longer, you really have to have persistence. It's not enough to have the talent. Talent is, everybody has a varying degree of talent, but you have to cultivate it, nurture it, and to see it go someplace beyond where you're at. So you have to be persistent and diligent in your practice. And you have to really have courage, in the face of people not really receiving you well, to say, I'm still gonna be here doing this no matter what. Fundamentals of hip hop dance. Understanding the collective flow of the dances that make up what the steps are in hip hop, and individuality, because you have to stand out. You can't be a carbon copy of somebody else. I mean, you may start off like that because depending on what you're being inspired by, who you're watching, but you find your own voice. somehow along the way. You got to find out who you are as an individual in order to say, this is who I am, for real. I'm going to use your influence or the variety of different influences that are available to me, but I'm going to be me. In 1979, I didn't have a concept of even me being involved in hip hop in a way that I am now. But, you know, when people were thinking of that as a passing fad, they were already making their mark. And I was a sheltered kid in my father's house. And it resonated with me. People were just doing it everywhere. Doing, like, when the electric boogie was big out here in New York in the early to mid 1980s, and then breaking started to really take force in the commercial world. People were already doing it. It was a frenzy, so it was already big. And then this newer expression of hip hop movement and culture and music started to develop. There was no way it could not be big. Because MTV got a hold of it years later, after Ralph McDaniels was doing Video Music Box for like the first 5 years before they did MTV Raps. So yeah, I hear a lot of that word freestyle. People don't even understand what that word means. Like, freestyle is just do whatever you want, but you're doing whatever you want within what? There's a big what there. You're doing it within context of understanding the parameters of what makes hip hop dance what it is. So it's not just freestyle just to do whatever. You're doing it within the context of understanding where hip hop is, and there's parameters to that. So if you're outside of those parameters, you're therefore outside of what you're talking about. If you're saying, I'm a hip hop dancer, but you're freestyling whatever you want, but you don't know what it is. So I think that's a huge misconception or misunderstanding of the use of those terms. What I also think in education of hip-hop dance is that people think that street jazz or something is a hip-hop dance style, and it's not. Just look at the label, street jazz, hip-hop, how are they even related to one another? I mean, people are becoming entrepreneurs in this movement. And even though I don't see as many parties that cater to what I remember hip hop, celebrating on a regular weekly basis, there are a few parties that still do that, but not as many. I mean, we have a lot of classes, a lot of studios that even promote hip-hop dancing exclusively, and what the scene is missing today. I don't think there are enough of parties that showcase what we're doing. We have been, especially in New York City, there are a few weekly parties that have some of what I'm talking about in terms of showcasing people's dance skills and the love of hip-hop music, but you don't have exclusive hip-hop parties like what I used to remember and where I came from. You don't see that as much because New York is a different climate now. And I think kids of the younger generation don't get to see enough of people of my particular age bracket or a little bit older to help guide them to show, okay, this is what we're about. There is accessibility to it, but I don't see that enough. People can really learn from one another, the older to the younger and the younger to the older. So that, I think, even though that hip hop is a really like multi-generational thing, I think once we start to really value where we're at, I think we'll see more of the expansion and of what it can be for the better of everyone else. Enjoy the music. If you're gonna start hip hop dance, really enjoy that music, because that's what's hooked me in. I got hooked right from the music. I mean, even when I was told I wasn't really gonna I wasn't even good at dance. That's what sold me and inspired me to do it, because I saw how people were responding to the music, so love the music. And as far as the dance, be open to a variety of different ways of moving, even if it's, the stuff that's based in your own generation. Understand, the way people move and find your own voice. My advice is to stay the course, regardless of what anybody tells you. If you want to make a career out of this, just focus on that goal and try to learn from the mistakes of others, especially people who've been down that road, and carve your own niche. Take a step back and observe what other people are doing outside of what you've been accustomed to, and just reconnect as to yourself with the reason why you even got into this in the first place. Be always open to what other people have to offer that may be different from what you've been exposed to. Ask questions, be assertive, and you always have to be in the student mode. Because even me, I'm still a student. There's a lot of things I still have to learn, and there's certain times in my journey in hip hop dance that I felt like I've hit a plateau. I made myself stay a student, and through that progression came.